Mic and music check. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Music just started as well. Should be pretty faint in the background. Mic and music check. Awesome. Awesome. Fantastic. Hey, Rev. Hey, Alan. How you doing? Awesome. Back to Map Maker Monday. As we wait, as we wait for a moment for all the stream feeds to go live, I just want to welcome you all, and I appreciate you all being here right on time as we get started. Let's see here. Oh, left my camera lens cap on. So, welcome back to Map Maker Monday. My name is Mac. I am the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. Dungeon Alchemist is the map making tool you see in front of you. It allows you to build maps in moments, or you can spend hours building intricate, detailed maps by hand. So you can kind of do either generate entire environments and rooms filled with objects really quickly, or, place hundreds of graves by hand like I'm doing. So there's really no in between, I've found. Welcome to our weekly stream that we host every Monday, where I build a map live and our community can tune in, share suggestions and ideas for the build, and ask questions during the stream in AMA format, which means ask me anything. So if you have any questions related to Dungeon Alchemist, our development, maybe you're working on a map and you need some support or have a question, or you're struggling with an export, or anything, whether you just want to hang out and vibe with like-minded map makers and GMs, or you have questions and concerns and need immediate support, think of these streams like a live course where you can watch someone build a map, but also get your questions answered directly and shown on stream as well. It's a really fun and interactive way to learn how to use a new tool. Detail Goblin? I haven't heard of that, but it might be a thing. How you doing, Ninja? So I was looking at this road earlier. Am I crazy in thinking this fence will eventually pass and intersect over here? It won't intersect with this well? It's like not going in a straight line towards that? I got what you meant there. Primal Edge Designs. By the way, I just want to welcome everyone that's new here today. We're live on multiple platforms. This is a live stream on Twitch, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Steam simultaneously. And I'm answering... And there. Anyway, I'm answering questions on all those feeds, monitoring all the chats. So if you have a question, please make sure you wait a moment after you ask, because like I said, it takes me a moment to read through all of them. Hey, Chim, how are you? These do have a weirdness to them too, so I could start moving them a bit. They do kind of have like a bump right here, I could see. Like a few of them start sliding this way a little. Probably help. I'm not too worried about the pavers as much as I am the fence that goes around it for now. I can always line up the pavers later, right? Hey, Lauren Zader, how you doing? Welcome back. Jim, hey, what's going on? I want it to not be so bad though that it'll intersect. Like at this point, it needs to kind of, some areas need to be somewhat straight. At least for this corridor, I feel like it needs to be. One thing I can do is I can use this fence here. Yeah, it will definitely slowly intersect. Lauren Zader, not currently. You cannot. There's no way to like group objects together and move them or save the grouping and copy and paste it. Though in the future, we hope to offer something like that. There is an internal tool we use called variant creation. You've run into variants before in Dungeon Alchemist and you probably didn't even know it. So I'm sure you've placed like a table or a desk and the table's pre-decorated, right? Like this one. If you actually, before you finalize the placement of this object, if you press tab, it'll shift between, sorry, it'll jump between, I'm saying shift after tab is confusing. So if you press tab, it will jump between these different variations, right? That we have pre-configured. We call them variants. So someone at some point during our development sat and decorated this table with these items and saved it as like a stamp. And at some point, we hope to offer this tool to our community where you can create your own variants and then copy and paste groupings of objects from one place on the map to another or between maps, and even ideally share that grouping of that variation of objects, that variant, on the workshop for others to download. Maybe you decorated a certain size home that's like 4x6 squares with everything it needs, and so it's now decorated perfectly. Maybe you could save that like a stamp and prefab stamp some homes in other cities. Alternatively, maybe you grouped a bunch of objects together like on a boat and you want to save that boat as a grouping, or any number of, I'm sure you could think of a lot of different things, right? So the hope is essentially allow you to group objects together and save that grouping and then share it. For now, about the only way to move objects together as a group is if they're all on top of one thing. Like all this bread being on top of the table means it can move as one thing. So if everything is on, say, if you, excuse me. So if you have objects on top of another object, like a rug, or in this case, something kind of interesting, like an abstract plane, these abstracts, they can be resized pretty much infinitely, right? And if you place objects on top of them, they move as a solid unit, right? But then you can actually insert a blank image into this, a blank PNG or a single pixel PNG. And when you do that, it's now an invisible rug that I can move around this group of objects. Technically, you could have even more stuff on top of it, multiple tables even. Collaboration, did you plan any future collaboration with someone? What do you mean? Is there a particular collaboration you were hoping for? Just want to make sure we're on the same page, my friend. If I'm going to redo this fence a little bit, it's going to be slightly angled. But yeah, what I think I'll do is use like a ruler tool or figure out some way to level this across this whole thing. I mean, we're a tiny indie company of 10 people. We don't have like a massive, AAA budget to do those kind of licensed collaborations. I'd say the biggest collaboration we've done on something like that scale is we had commercials made by the One for All crew, who are kind of similar to, like Critical Role in that they're a group that play together, but they actually make skits and stuff about their past experiences and other people's experiences, and then post those instead of playing like a live campaign. So they're D&D content creators like that, I guess you could say. One thing I will say, though, is there is some discussion behind the scenes about potentially getting a campaign going on the stream. I have been wanting this for a long time, and I know our viewers in the audience here have wanted it for a while as well, where, you know, there might be an option for where there might be like a stream where we stream using Dungeon Alchemist maps and have like a campaign that we stream like once or twice a month with like a group of players that are, you know, charismatic, energetic, fun, love Dungeon Alchemist, etc. Anyway, I think someday there might be something like that. I'm hoping sooner than later. I've wanted it for a long time, and I think Dungeon Alchemist is finally like at a point where, you know, we have roofing and multi-level. It's like a really solid product after this update, even though we still have 4 major updates before we leave early access. Ideally, we would include our community in map making and, you know, bring maps from the community into the campaign. The DM might even put up like a map bounty or something. Anyway, Houston beer and pretzel. Currently, you can't create variants of your own, so there is no way to do that. In the future, I'm not sure if it'll allow you to cycle between variants. If anything, I think it'll just allow you to create like a grouping of objects, like a stamp together that can be moved around. Not necessarily as advanced as our variants. The reason we offer variants in the first place is because in many instances, you don't want like 100 tables decorated the same way in a room, or even 3, even 2 would be weird, right? So when you generate a room and they have similar tables that might be present, it'll do a lot of variation, or, you know, closets or desks or whatever to make it look different. Anyway, as of right now, it's too early to tell what aspects of the feature will be available to the community when it is launched. I think we just gotta kind of wait and play it by ear. I'm gonna have to move a lot of these graves to fix this fence, I think. Okay, so the key is I need a fence on both ends, right? That one definitely will not work. It will eventually intersect this way. That one's not even straight at all. Okay, let me find that ruler. I know there's like a ruler on here. Giovanni asks, are there any plans export for the 3D maps? We have no plans at all to offer 3D exports of any kind. I'm just going to be very direct with that. Mainly because Dungeon Alchemist wasn't created with that in mind. When you have an intention of offering something to be exported as a 3D file, or for, you know, game design, or for 3D VTT, it has to be designed with a very specific purpose and intention. And Dungeon Alchemist wasn't designed with that in mind. So essentially, if you were to 3D export Dungeon Alchemist, there'd be no detail. It'd be a bunch of gray, weirdly shaped blobs, mostly simple shapes like cylinders and, you know, cubes, etc. Because a lot of the texture and detail on Dungeon Alchemist assets is what's called texture mapping. It's essentially a very detailed wallpaper image stamped on top of a simple shape. It's not really ideal for like 3D printing or game design, etc. That being said, I understand why you want it. Like, a lot of people want it usually for 3 different things: 3D printing, video game design, or like, you know, they want to use the Dungeon Alchemist tool to make their game world. And the third one is 3D play, i.e. you want to play in the map in 3D. The best thing I can say for you right now is at some point our devs have said they want to offer a Dungeon Alchemist VTT Lite of some sort. And what they've said is they want that to use as much of, you know, to have as much compatibility between Dungeon Alchemist and a VTT as possible. Whatever that means. Could mean, you know, full 3D. I don't know, though. They haven't said that. at this point, it's purely speculative what would be, like offered from that compatible VTT, as it's still a ways out. We are, in our early access development right now, and we just released a major update a month ago on the 10th of July, Fun with Objects Part 1. Fun with Objects Part 2 launches, sometime later this year. There's not an ETA, a specific date at this point. We're just hoping to launch before the end of the year. Beyond that, we have 4 major updates that we promised from our Kickstarter that we must deliver on before we leave early access and jump into any other avenues, i.e., a virtual tabletop or aesthetics outside of the fantasy offerings that we have. A lot of people want like cyberpunk or sci-fi assets and environments and rooms and things like that, and that's something we'll take a look at after we've delivered on all our Kickstarter promises to our community. You know what? I forgot to download that ruler. Oh, what is it called? Just gonna type measure. There it is. Measuring stick. I don't really need it to measure anything. I need it for a straight line. The hope is to put a straight line between these 2 points and then follow it with our fences, because I made a mistake of not doing that first. At the moment, this looks like garbage. Kind of get it there. Pretty close. Yeah, no worries, Giovanni. If you have any other questions, let me know. I am here to assist. Gonna bring it over just the littlest bit. That's the line right there. We need to follow that as best we can. And keep in mind, it's not going to be the fence on the inside of this. It's going to be the fence here. So it'll be much further away from that. He is getting a fence parallel with this first. Such an awkward looking thing. That's pretty good. I'm likening this to like a compass. If you're off by like a degree on one end with your like compass coordinates, it ends up being like miles. If it's over, say a 10-mile journey, you could be like a mile off where you need to be. Now, keep in mind, the reason this is having a hard time aligning is because when I made everything off grid. Most of this map is off grid at a weird perpendicular angle. So, and I did that to challenge myself, but now I'm running into some weirdness here and there. So I got to kind of make adjustments as needed. Best thing though is now that I've got this one lined up, I'm going to use it all the way down. So I can just take, a couple of those, get it started on this side. I'm going to delete this one there. And by the way, if you hold shift when you finalize the placement of an object, right, the first time, or you can always press this to duplicate an object, but before you click and finalize its placement, if you hold shift before you click that last little bit, right? Oh no. Let me zoom in a bit. Life a bit easier. This bar though is really weird. I might remove it now. something like this should work all the way down for the most part. I hope, at least. Too funny. And I will adjust the graves in a minute. Giovanni, do you already own a copy of Dungeon Alchemist? And you're just hoping someday we offer 3D exports? Or you were kind of checking it out and just curious if it does offer 3D? Such focus, many wow. Honestly, like, when I get in the groove of map making, I'll get way dialed in, and my wife says that she has to like snap her fingers to break me out of it. I think during stream I stay just distracted enough that it never happens, because y'all are always asking me questions. So I'm like always kind of like on alert and slightly distracted. I was there when the ancient texts were written. I Can Has Cheeseburger used to be the meme website. Remember that? Before everyone tried to capitalize on memes. We're old, Anani. We're old. It's okay, though. Not a bad thing. Honestly, like, I feel so happy that I got to experience the internet when it was such like a Wild West meets like a wholesome, pure environment. Like, a lot of people on the early internet were just like trying to share, like, I don't understand, like, a lot of the internet now is monetized, right? Like, every aspect of it, it's like, here, share all this data with us or pay for something monthly, right? The early internet was like, there was hundreds of thousands of websites you could just go to and hang out and do cool things, play games, learn how to play a guitar, and now it's like 3 websites to do anything. I don't know. I just kind of miss the old days when it was like, kind of like you'd stumble across some random website and it was like, here's a skeleton simulator. This is a simulator showing how the bones would move on a skeleton if you move it in certain ways. And it's like, what? Why? Okay, cool. Yeah, I remember using like text-based boards only for sure. I also Oh, Giovanni, that's interesting. That's good to know. I appreciate you sharing that, by the way. So sometimes you gotta put a fence in between the two to keep the alignment. That's my trick to keep it going, because if you pull one and do a space manually, you'll end up having a gap somewhere. So, and once in a while, I'll merge fences like this, so they're kind of overlapped with each other, because you hardly ever see the side of the fence. Really the top, that's all that matters. And I'm trying to make sure that it's kind of near the edge of this grave, so I could keep it moving down to like here, right? So it's like right almost to the edge where the walkway coincides. The nice thing about this, though, is now this is really lined up. I don't care if these are aligned differently, because at the moment I'm heading towards a different area with this one. You know what my favorite old meme? My favorite old meme is? I My favorite old meme of all time is all your base. That or Badger, Badger, Badger. You know a meme has power if it's survived that long. Badger, 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 Badger. Mushroom, mushroom. All your base are belong to us. Oh no, they set up us a bomb. I've noticed that there is like a corner of TikTok where people just do weird stuff that's just like an artistic flair, kind of like the early internet used to be. I just wish it wasn't all coagulated in one place because it kind of keeps the format to certain designs. Whereas like the early internet, it was like flash cartoons and games and like, I mean, Homestar Runner is iconic, Waterman cartoons, addicting games. Like there was all these websites that were really fun and interesting to go to. I'm definitely going to age myself with that, but I stand by it. Well, the internet started getting bought up by mega corporations and there started becoming more regulation. So, I mean, now websites ask for your ID just to sign up for like social media. When I was growing up, it was like, eh. I get why they do it now, though, because people make tons of fake accounts. And now that's one way they can stem it is like if you have a real phone number and an ID. But that's also a way they can track you if you say anything crazy. You know, I don't know. I don't know. The internet's changed for sure. It's definitely more regulated. It's definitely not as like open and like unrestricted as it used to be. That's my millennial hill I'll die on. That, and I don't think there should be like a fee on everything. More commercial, less organic. Yeah, for sure. The experience went from like that and like search engines are changed too. Like Google, it used to be you could find almost anything with Google. That's why it was a household name. Now you go to Google, try searching Google. What's the first few things that come up? An AI result that'll change every time you hit enter. It's different. It could be a different answer every time. And ads right below that from advertisers paying Google to show their search results first. And then finally, some search results that are horrible because SEO has been destroyed. I don't know. The internet is just between being heavily monetized beyond all reason, where it's locked behind paywalls or people have a vested interest in directing traffic or keeping a traffic in certain places. Even with ad blockers, you still get ads too. Like, I feel like you have to do so much to have like a more like, and not necessarily I'm like trying to get around or do anything sneaky on the internet. It's more or less, I just wish the internet wasn't like 5 websites. It feels so monopolized and like, yeah, it's definitely kind of hard to find anything new or unique. Right? Cookies, they want to get as much of your data as they can. Our mics and our phones and our computers are listening to us to send us like ads directly towards us on the things we talk about in our everyday life. Like I could say right now that after the stream, or that I am in the mood for a brand new, let's see, let me say something very specific. I need a new accessory for my Elgato webcam. Right, Jim, like Futurama? But I mean, okay, so like if you're most social media back in the day, they used to be like, yeah, you can link to other places. Here, show a Twitter post on Facebook and Reddit post. They don't like you sharing links on other platforms. Even like here on TikTok and chat, you can't share a link for something else. Like it's insane because they want to keep you on this site, right? They want to keep you looking at videos here. And like, anyway. Hey, Atlam, can you check the chat in Steam and see if you can answer them? Thank you, Atlam. I don't know. Like the internet, it still has some mystery and some cool stuff. It's a pretty helpful tool, but it's definitely like night and day different than it was when I was growing up. I just feel like it's a completely different experience for the younger generation. Yo, whippersnappers, back in my day, we didn't have cookies on the internet. We only ate our cookies at home. Also, I am extremely proud that I know how to use like every type of printer. Like, I think it's actually a monumental achievement that if you can just use like a physical printer nowadays. Because A, not only are they like ridiculously hard to use, but like I think a lot of people, well, like my parents don't know how to use a printer. My grandparents don't know, like they couldn't set it up themselves. They'd have to pay someone or have me come do it. Yeah, it really was wild, wild west when we were growing up, for sure. No, I like, honestly, I agree with that stance there. The WWW didn't actually mean World Wide Web when we were growing up. It meant Wild, Wild West. That's funny. Man, I saw that AOL's killing their dial-up. First off, wow, AOL's still using dial-up. I did not know that. I guess in rural areas, that's like still the best option, but like now there's satellite internet everywhere and it's reasonably cheap. I'm just, man, that blows my mind that people are still using AOL dial-up. Man, printers are so funny because like a physical printer, like it's ridiculous. They keep adding all these things into it to make them like, oh, here's Bluetooth, here's wireless, but they don't streamline the ease of like setup for it. You still are relying on like Windows ancient architecture for the setup. Man, printers make me laugh. Atlam, can you tell them to try refreshing the stream or like loading it in a browser instead? Oh, can they hear me now? Can you hear me, Ras? Hopefully it works. I mean, you can have high-speed internet without wireless. That's not a requirement. You can have hardwire internet run through your entire home. Like, just because you have high-speed internet doesn't mean you have to use wireless. So, like, they can get a hardwire ran to their home or, you know, internet through a provider that's high speed and then just do hardwire all throughout their house. They found the volume control. Fantastic. Fantastic. Oh my gosh. I'm going to be buying a CD soon, and it's like the first time I've bought a CD in like years. First off, I think physical media is making a comeback. Like there's a whole generation like of younger kids that are really interested in physical media. Like when I was growing up, I loved records and I loved like eight tracks or whatever. And like I have all my dad's old records and my uncle's old records. I have a pretty big record collection actually. For someone my age at least, because usually it's people, you know, 20, 30 years older than me that have a record collection. Anyway, nowadays kids are collecting like tapes, VHS and cassette tapes, because hey, there's a big collector's market for VHSs, especially ones that haven't been opened. Holy cow, some of them have sold for like tens of thousands of dollars. Mainly because there's like a whole bunch of like movie stars that are into collecting VHSs now. Awesome, Ras. I'm glad you got sound. If you have any questions, let me know. Throw them up in chat and I'll address it. Your question from, I want to make sure if you have any concerns or anything that they're taken care of. Also, CDs are making a comeback, but it's like all these companies that had the capacity to mass produce them have done away with it. And now it's like indie companies doing the production for it. There's still companies pressing vinyl records. There's still companies making tapes. There's still companies making CDs, but it's like in smaller, like bespoke amounts. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm really excited because a show I love, I'm sure some of you have heard me talk about it on stream, Venture Brothers, which was like a long running Adult Swim show. One of the like, so they released a movie in 2024, which was the first release they'd had in, you know, that IP in like 10 years, like close to 10 years, well, like 8 years. And then they're releasing a CD that's like the last few seasons of music and a record of the last few seasons of music. And I'm like really hyped to get my hands on it. So it's like all the music from the show in the last few seasons. Anyway, I just remember, because we're talking about physical media, I want to get that soon, because it's coming out in September. Honestly, indie is, because here's the thing. Commercialized gaming and media, people are sick of it. I honestly, Gen Z, they're pulling, they hate advertising. They hate it. Like my generation hated it and like started getting numb to it. Like I'm so numb to billboards, I'm so numb to advertising, and it's everywhere. It's everywhere. You can't get away from it, right? It's on the radio, it's in streaming. Even if you're paying for like no ads, it still shows up in places. It's like, it's all over the internet. You could have a pie hole stopping ads and some still magically get through. It's insane the amount of ads that are everywhere. So we're kind of tuned out from it and find them somewhat like aggressive and offensive, because they're like getting in your face and in your space all the time. And everything we drive and like use is covered in branding. Like, I mean, my car has like eight different like logos on it for the brand. It's like, okay, I guess I'm a driving, you know, billboard. Thanks, yes, been using Discord. Let's see here. Strange behavior in the illumination with light tweaking through the walls. So yeah, that's been reported in the Discord. I'm not 100% what's going on there, mainly because I'm not on the dev team. But if you'd like to report it again in the Discord, the more reports we get of it, the more we can compile and figure it out. What I'm thinking is there's small seams between the walls and the ceilings and the floors where light leaks through. But if you look at it from top down, it's not there. The shadow is blocked for sure from the exterior. So it's definitely happening when the top down mode, it's just in that first person, especially with metal floors, it's more prevalent. When it's like a wood floor, it's washed out. You don't notice it as much. Anyway, I'm all for indie companies doing well. Because that's like where all the creativity is coming from, especially nowadays. I think most big companies are trying to play it safe, doing the same thing over and over again. Like that's why we're getting like remasters of movies every 4 or 5 years or 8 years instead of like new films. My kid was asking me like why there's no like random movies anymore. And I had to explain to him because like movies back in the day used to have like this whole cycle where it would get produced and released in theaters for like 6 months to a year. And then like a year later, it was on DVD or tape. And then they'd have kickbacks on that. But now nobody buys DVDs or CDs as much or whatever. Blu-ray, not nearly as much. And as a result of which the movie stars aren't wanting to make as many random movies because they don't make any money from it. Essentially been completely like ruined the industry from what I've heard. Even the TV industry is suffering too. Anyway, we used to have really strict regulations on adverts in the UK. I've been in North America. I was shocked at it, how bad it was. There are some places in North America where they've like blocked heavy advertising, like billboards. There's cities where advertising has been banned entirely. So they like just, it's no longer like, only you can have like a business sign and that's it out in front of your business. And like ads in normal places, like a newspaper. Right, Jack? Man, most of the big companies won't be using voice actors anymore. They'll be using AI, but I think that'll bite them in the butt. Mainly because of like contracts with like acting guilds and also because people won't want their content. There's already slurs coming out for a ton like heavily AI or robotic content. You know what I mean? I think, I don't know. I feel like these companies are in for a reckoning because they just don't understand how much people don't want everything to be AI. It might end up being more like Dune, where like we get rid of AI entirely, unless it's helpful. Clankers or something is what people have been calling stuff. Yeah, they're like, hey, accept that we're going to get rid of all your jobs and your ability to make art or do anything creative and have any creative jobs. You're just going to just work in a factory. That's it. Even though we could have robots do that instead. Yeah, no, I'm not about that future. I like working for an indie company. It's nice. Sorry for the doomer chat for a bit. Anyway, Jack, I was bummed that the beta was over today. I thought there would be more time. No. Next weekend? So isn't that... Yeah, 3 days from now? Gotcha. Anyway, here's Wonderwall. I swear, that kills me every time. Londu, it is coming along. Kind of laid out a line here to get this fence kind of lined up for the long term, and then started kind of just moving in. See, that's the thing. Like I said, I do appreciate our stream being a third place. Hey, Wizard Mike, thank you for that follow, by the way. Welcome to the Damn Fam. So, there's not a lot of places you can go anymore. Like, it's crazy. The best parks are starting to be hidden behind, like, gated communities. They're like, yeah, we've got a park here. You could see it from the road, but you can't get in. Sorry. And then that gated community has, like, 3 child-age families. What the heck? And they put the park there to be in compliance, but they don't let anyone in. That happens in Vegas, by the way, quite a bit. Anyway, I love that everyone can come here. If you love map making, whether you're making it for a campaign or you just find the experience cathartic, you know, are you a first-time DM or a long-time DM? This is a place to chill, you know, bounce ideas off each other for your encounters, your homebrew, your map making. You know, it's a place where pretty much everyone has the same vibe because we all have similar passions. And in an increasingly heavily monetized world, I like to offer a space where anyone can hang out and feel welcome and learn about, you know, probably one of the, you know, the hobbies that will continue to stay prevalent, you know, in the future as we go forward, which is tabletop gaming. I think regardless, it'll always have a future. This is really coming along. Honestly, like, the space is getting smaller and I'm starting to wonder what to do. I know Mondu is going to tell me to put some pizza here or something. I could put a rupee pond. Just kidding. What do you think, though, my friend? Like, this is definitely scaling well. The whole area was a pizza to begin with. Should I just made this a massive pizza garden? Like a big topiary pizza? That's where I failed, was not making this a big pizza to begin with. Jack, I will be playing when it comes back. I still have to hit L20. That's the only thing I didn't do for the challenges. Did anyone else try out the Battlefield 6 beta? Tombstone is a brand of pizza. It's like a frozen pizza. I feel like in the 90s, like, a lot of brands were trying to, like, take a name that had, like, a lot of oomph in the media or, like, movies and then convert it into, like, a product. Right? Especially in pizzas. Like, okay, you had Tombstone and Red Baron. Like, those things have, like, nothing to do with pizza whatsoever. Am I frozen? Oh. One of these days, I'm gonna just mess with y'all. Here. Honestly, hey, Ras, are you still here? If you haven't already thrown up a Discord post about it, I would, because the more people complaining about it, the more it shines a light on it, the more I can point the devs to it and be like, hey, here's a bunch of examples. So if you could do that, that'd mean a lot. If you're already in our Discord, that would go a long way. It's Tin Skin now. Is that the new robot slur? Like, I think people will be okay with using robot slurs until people start using like a lot of cybernetics. And then you might want to be careful about it. Goodness. Though, I don't know. I know it's all in fun. People are joking, but I do think some people genuinely do, like, hate those things. Chiphead. I've not heard that one. Oh my gosh. This is actually just a measuring tool that I'm using to align this fence over a long period of time, because I noticed it was slowly not aligned. And I just really wanted this to help me keep it, you know, over a long period of distance. It's like about as easy as coming up with new names for zombies. Like, super easy to come up with names to make fun of tech, for sure. Robots and AI in particular. Though I do think we're quickly spiraling towards some sort of like Skynet or Matrix scenario. If we're not careful. So that's like bootlicker, but for bots. So that's people who like AI slop. That one's funny. I haven't heard that one. It's an asset from the workshop. Ras, if you search measure, there's a few measuring tapes that are like been shared by one of the creators in our community. So there is, you know, different lengths showing the distances, vertical at different axes, or just blank. So if you go to the Steam Workshop tab, you can go to Browse Assets and type measure. That's how I found it. There it is, measuring stick. See, already looking like that's not going to be good. Might have to redo those too. Gonna have to adjust it a few times to get it just right because it's such a broad stroke here. No, because they're not perfectly perpendicular to each other. Remember, this is a randomly made plot, and so and I'm throwing them in by hand, so there's instances where they're not perfectly aligned. This spot here may not be perfectly straight across from this one, so I'm trying to make a new line for these two, essentially. Oh no! Might even be too difficult to cross this. Why? Pretty good. About as good as it's going to get. I do wish the pivot point wasn't always from the center, but remember, you can, when you upload an object, you can change where the pivot point is on that object. So it's up to the creator who uploads an asset to do that sometimes. So technically, like Sack, when he uploaded this, he could have done that. No, they're definitely not hyper aligned. The thing is I do just want some alignment over long distances so I don't end up making weirdness. But yeah, a lot of this was done by hand to give it that more real feel. You know what I mean? Especially the pavers and the graves, I'm putting them in so they have some alignment, but then their distances from each other aren't necessarily, you know, equal. And some of the fences will definitely kind of spread apart from each other. But yeah, this whole area, like I made this plot by hand. That was the point of it, was to make it awkward and human feeling. More natural, for sure. That being said, there were, you know, craftsmen, you know, as far back as the pyramids and even prior, who were really good at getting a straight line over a long distance. So it's possible to do so with the, you know, correct knowledge and tools. Siphon Ford Ranger. All I know, like, as early as our Neolithic ancestors, they were really good at making big straight lines and across like megalithic structures. So I do think, to a degree, having some straight lines here and there are good, but every once in a while things will be deviated in between where it feels more natural or realistic. Man, I drove a Ford Ranger for a few weeks in high school because my stepdad, my parents were going out of town, right? And they were traveling, they were taking our main, like, nice car. And the car I would normally drive to school was like this, like, sedan that we'd had for like 10 years that was falling apart. And I guess one of my dad's work friends needed a car that could travel, and that sedan was reliable. So he let him borrow it. And he's like, but my son needs a truck or a car to get to work. And so he let me borrow his Ranger for like a week. I drove a Ford Ranger for like 2 weeks, basically. And it was quite an experience because he brought it to me and it was just completely full of trash. And I had a date that weekend. And I was thinking, okay, what should I do about this? And I asked my stepdad, I'm like, should I clean it? And I called the guy and I'm like, is it all right if I clean it out? And he's like, yeah, just don't throw away any of my tools. So I put all his tools in like a box and I put them in the garage. And then I cleaned out the truck, his truck that I was borrowing. So I ended up, could have a vehicle for a date that looked presentable. I was so worried that my date would think so poorly of me because the truck was so gross inside. It was like filled with garbage and sunflower seeds. Like the floor was just covered with them. Indecisive DM, I am doing wonderful. I'm working on a massive cemetery map. And, that's kind of the fun at the moment. Oh man, the water tunnels, Ras, is that what you're talking about? For the aqueduct projects? Oh man, the Romans were insane good at megalithic projects. They would essentially put a borehole down like every 50 feet or meters or so, or whatever, meters, whatever they measured in, so they could see down and see sunlight, and they would use that as a measurement and then use plumb bobs as well to get like a plumb bob is a weight essentially on the end of a string for those that don't know. And when you hold it down, it's always a straight line. That's how they'd often figure out how to do straight lines and like masonry and stuff like that. They would use gravity. I think this is looking really good. Now I may want to just change these fences to line up with that now that I've gotten this. Because I know those definitely aren't aligned. But what I can do is just take one of these. Whoop, and now it's aligned. Because it's the same alignment as long as I use the same, a copy of one of these. So it should be a parallel running line as long as I keep them, the fences, lined up like this. Plum Bob was your artificer's name? Oh, that's hilarious. You have all the pieces of Exodia? Dang, I'm jealous. Paces is what they used? Interesting. That's cool, Ras. Isn't like Roman culture where the term salary is derived from as well? Because actually salt was so valuable back then because it was kind of new to the scene being like widely available. And, spice trade was big for a reason, I'd imagine. Kind of fueled like early economic development across the entire planet. That being said, yeah, they would pay them in a ration of salt, well, part of their payment, and that was a salary. What else? The term decimate is from Roman culture, if I'm not mistaken. So if I'm not mistaken, they say it now like, oh, we decimated their ranks, and it sounds like you destroyed them. Decimation was actually just removing 1/10 of the soldiers. I don't know the reason they would do it, but they'd remove like 1 in 10 soldiers. So like a 10% of them. Salt by Mark Kurlansky. I've never heard of it. Is it an interesting read? Thank you for the likes, TikTok. Much appreciated. Okay, so now that we've got this alignment all fixed, what I think I'll do is keep working on this next section here, which means I need to add a walkway between. You know what? I'll do the walkway after I've got this all figured out. Because I don't want to move those rulers. So they may have had one soldier that the group decided who to kick out or kill. Is that what it was? So the group would have to decide and pick the one and then decimate in order to, it was kind of a punishment. Short straw, basically. Yep, that makes sense. I love how much like the topic of discussion is varied today. We've talked about so many random things. Alignment is starting to get irritating. I'm gonna have to crunch these in here just to get as many of them in as I can, or to get as much room as close to the other one as. Need to squeeze in enough room for one more stone here. Dang, that sounds insane, Ras. Didn't know that. Dang it. So close. Not a whole lot of room I could squeeze out of here. You'll delete one and make more space. Yeah, that's probably the way to do it. But now I've done all this work, so I don't want to undo it. I definitely don't want to resize the stones. I just undid it all the way across. That Control Z is your friend. Alrighty. Yeah, I don't want to rescale because they're all roughly they're the same size. If I rescale one section, it'll look really weird to me, at least. So yeah, there was a bit of sunken cost there, but I did like Mondu's idea of just putting a space between them that was larger, having less steps, you know? I was hoping to have a way out here, but it's... I wanted a path going out some point along this axis. Let's fit one up already. Control Z is undo, Control Y is redo, by the way. If you look under edit, you can see it right here. There's some hotkeys, undo, redo. Anani, honestly, there's a lot of hotkeys hidden throughout the menus. Look, like new map, Control N. Oh, by the way, we have a hotkey page on our wiki, just loaded with hotkeys, including secret commands that open up menus that are not normally available. But you have hotkeys for saving, exporting, editing hotkeys, view, and in many of the menus that are hotkeys are like control options at the bottom. So like in the room generation, there's some tool options, advanced settings. In object menu, it says shift to place multiple objects or control toggle snap to grid. Hotkeys are, weird, the bot didn't do it. That is weird. Is the hotkey? Odd. My hotkey command is gone. Huh. Maybe I accidentally deleted it? Thank you for sharing that. I'll have to make a new command. I definitely made mistakes on the fences. Mistakes were made. The heck was that? As I placed it, it jumped away and went somewhere else entirely. It was interesting, to say the least. Oof. Side of fence. And something's wrong with that, and I need to check the alarm. Well, now that I know this, it's bugging me. Take a look at it. Whoa, take it easy there, hombre. Maybe, Mondu, if they weren't on vacation. I had some chili yesterday. It was wonderful. Let's see here. Do you have any tips for making a room in a round shape and maintaining the same distance between segments? Like pillars on the edge of a circle or altar? I'm trying to understand what you're saying here. You can use map abstract lights on old maps no matter what. It's a lot of the features from the update are just fine on old maps, on legacy maps. It's the only two features you can't use on legacy maps is the new multi-level and the new the new multi-level and roofing features. And by the way, it's still possible to do multi-level in old maps. Like this is a legacy map. You see the lock? I put in this multi-story bell tower by hand. Everything above the first floor was just objects placed by hand, freestanding walls, stuff like that. Hey, Toastic, how you doing, bud? But yeah, you could put in abstract lights on this map if you wanted to. Totally possible. I plan to do lighting, though, last. Usually after I do a section, I add lighting. I'm good, man. I'm good. Sorry I couldn't stay long earlier. I was prepping for my stream. And I didn't really want to talk about my stream on your stream because I felt bad, so. How'd your stream go, by the way? Did you figure out what was up with your camera? Your camera looked like you were standing next to like a piece of irradiated metal, or maybe you had a pixel. You had a pixel based like filter on it of some sort. So, Anani, I'm trying to understand your question, and I'm not trying to skirt it here. I can show you how to make a round room, but the part I'm lost on is maintaining, like, pillars on the edge of a circle or altar. Okay, so can you elaborate on what you're trying to accomplish a little bit more, and I'll try and see if I understand it better and can answer you. Because right now, I'm not 100% certain what you're asking. What's up, Ras? What did you want me to do? Sorry, what are you saying over there? I'm lost on your chat there. Yeah, that might be a good way to approach it, Anani. If you're using the grid, right? Circular rooms will definitely snap onto the grid. So let's say we start with like a 6x6. Oops. I feel like my mouse is sticky. We're gonna pull that in, and it has to be an equal, right? So you were saying you wanted circular spires on the corner of this, right? Assuming something like this. Yeah, it's extending out no matter what I do, huh? You may want to make the square rooms first. Seems like I'm trying to figure out how to do this. Order of operations is important sometimes, right? See if this will work. The thing is, no matter what, when you start outside, it's going to be pulling into a different location, and that's one of the downsides. If you need many, like, circle rooms attached to each other, you got to get creative in how you place things, I've noticed. So, like, if I start here with this circle, or this square exactly where it is for the main room, once I start pulling in here, it's a different shape than it was initially. You have to base it off of this corner's edge. Did you disable collisions and just place them by hand? I think the way to do it would be making sure you have the grid on so you could see exactly where the alignment is and just putting it in. And then remember, you know, there's no such thing as perfection. Like, that's really just kind of a made up term, in my opinion. Striving for perfection will give you a bit of insanity. Do yourself a favor and just get it good. You know, I don't think your players will complain about pillar alignment. You know what I mean? As of right now, when you're placing things by hand, you add a layer of difficulty, but it adds a layer of customization. So you get a more custom feel, but at the same time, you gotta trade off the fact that it's a little bit more difficult. Yeah, don't let the perfection be the enemy of good, what Toastig over in TikTok chat just said. Good, Stormy, how are you? Oh, by the way, y'all, D&D yesterday was interesting. We got about 30 minutes left, so I could probably talk a bit about D&D. Anyone wants to hear how yesterday's session went? That's a good suggestion, Atlam. So yesterday was our D&D was a roughly 4-hour session. We started off with a little bit of drama because a couple of our players showed up late. One of them, we knew they would be late because they told us in advance, but one of them slept in and was completely late, like 20 minutes. So we were like stalling, doing RP, waiting for everyone to appear. Oh goodness, please don't crash, DA. And so that was kind of a bummer. But then everyone showed up and we started getting into the session, which we were traveling to this kind of dangerous area called Carthax Hollow is what it was called, I believe. And from the intel we received, there was some sort of metal bull outside, which we assumed was a construct that we couldn't get, that people have died trying to pass. So we essentially, I'm just going to click wait and wait. We're going to wait. Watch what happens. We essentially traveled to this location, immediately ran into the bull. We tried to talk to it. One of our players tried to speak with animals to see if he could talk to it. It didn't respond. We tried talking to it in common, didn't respond. So essentially, we got into combat. So this bull is a large mechanical bull that every time we interacted with it with magic, it would enhance a cloud of like vapor around it with that magic. So it started off as like a poison gas. We hit it with fire and now it's fire. Hit it with something else. It added that to it. It was like adding all these different damage types to its breath. And it had a charge where it would go like 80 feet and anyone it ran into would hurt them. So we immediately kind of spread the group out and got to different areas where everyone would be kind of not in a straight line and started just hitting him. And our warlock opened with a crazy critted salvo on a scorching ray and ended up doing like 90 plus damage on a hit and put it from like almost full health down to like less than a third. And we just kept pelting it till it was dead. And then across the river, there was another construct, and this construct looked even larger, and it was like a stag with wings. So we were like a little hesitant. and it had a ram attack as well. And I think it had immunity to fire because I hit it with a fireball and it did no damage. So I was like, waste of a level 3 spell. I ended up, though, doing something to capture it. What did I do? Oh, so our team kept trying to hit it, do stuff with it. It kept running through people, doing a ton of damage to them, like a quarter of their health or more in a single hit. Oh no, this may crash. This may crash, people. Anyway, we essentially were worried because it kept like ramming groups of people doing tons of damage. And we're thinking, man, we're going to get a TPK unless we start like really taking down its health or kind of controlling the situation. When it became my turn, I casted web on it, and I managed to web it when it was in the air because it was like floating below a bridge and the ground. And I cast the web between the bridge's like edges and the ground, and it webbed its feet and held it in place so it didn't have all its movement. And we had advantage on it, and everybody just unloaded on it, and we took it down within like 3 rounds once it was webbed. So that was the first 2 major encounters, which used a ton of spell slots, and like we had to heal after. I believe we did our first short rest then. Right? So kind of a bummer. That we had to like use up a bunch of like of our spell slots and a short rest. We enter this cave, and the cave is full of these constructs that are more like humanoid in fashion. Instead of being like an animal, like a bull or a stag, they were like these, almost looked like a musketeer, if you will, like with the big hat and the, you know, the musketeer garb, and they had a rapier. And these constructs would attack us, and they have 3 attacks each, 2 rapier attacks, and then a knife attack. Constructs are pretty easy to take out, but they had an immunity to several different damage types, so we were trying to avoid using spells of those damage types on them. And then after each round, a lair action would happen. We're like, what the heck is going on? And we were taking out the guys, and then we got about 3/4 down the hall, took out like 4 or 5 guys, and then the lair action activated, and it revived all of the constructs behind us. They had 1 HP, all of them. So now there was a bunch of constructs behind us, a bunch in front of us. Hey, salvaged. I didn't shrink my token, so he's kind of big for this map, but let's take a walk around. So we essentially fought through like a small group, an encounter's worth of constructs, only for them to come back like zombies behind us. I took up defense on the rear, and I just kept hitting them with magic missiles. So I'd take out like 3 of them at once or 4 of them at once, down them. But then the next round they'd be back. So I was keeping them off of us while people in front were trying to take out the ones in front of us to see if we could disable the lair action somehow. And yeah, it was quite an interesting situation to say the least. Yeah, by the time we cleared all of the guys in that hallway, there was one kind of boss looking robot dude who kind of looked like the Guyver. Like he was wearing a mech exosuit kind of thing that made him really limber and agile, and he could do like flips and tumbles and stuff. When we took him out, the lair action stopped, right? And then we get up to a door. The door, I get a weird feeling about this door, and so I pull out my wand of secrets, and I'm like, hey, are there any traps on this door? Whoop! And yeah, there was a bunch of traps on the door. 3 different traps, okay? 1 physical and 2 magical. So essentially, this this portion of the map was like something we had to get through, but we had to figure out how to get through it carefully. So I did detect, you know, I looked through all the traps, figured out what they were. took a good look at the door because I kind of have the best chance of figuring out what they are. And I said, hey, there's 2 magic traps. Can someone dispel magic on one of them so I can get closer to the door to take a closer look? Someone dispelled magic, so we used a spell slot to do that, right? Got rid of one of the traps. Then I'm looking, the physical trap, we can't really do anything with it unless we trigger it. There was no way to easily dismantle it. So what I did is we could see through the door to the other side, and I summoned an invisible servant to the other side, and I had him unlock the door, and it triggered the physical trap and killed him. Anyway, so we took out 2 traps, or part of the traps, with one with a spell, one with another one with a spell. And then there was only 1 trap left, and it was a hold person. And one of our teammates, he's like, I'm getting bored. He was like one of our fighters, and he just ran through, and I was like, wait, no, there's a trap. And I'd already told the party there was 3 traps and to let me carefully dismantle them, and he just went gung-ho, Leroy Jenkins did, and ran through. And he failed on the save first time. Our teams don't want him to be held because that'll mean crits on him from enemies. So our team starts doing everything they can to help him. 2 people gave him inspiration to help him succeed on the save. So he succeeded on the save after wasting 2 inspirations from the 3 inspirations, his own and 2 from the group. And now he's not held. At least we got through the trap, right? That's good, isn't it? Anyway, very, very classic fighter barbarian mentality, right? Because my like brainiac +5 intelligence character is up there like trying to decipher the traps, break them down piece by piece carefully so no one gets hurt. And then, yeah. Someone's like, nah, that's not gonna happen. Anyway, so luckily he didn't get, locked in place from this hold person, or it would have been a nightmare. And we ended up proceeding through that area carefully. And yeah, in the next area, there was more constructs that we fought. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked while I was looking at the map. Trying to think what happened next. Oh, we went into this kind of big area, and there were several doors. There were 2 more of those like flippy construct dudes and a human, the first human we'd seen. And the human did flame attacks and tried to get us. We put him down in like a round, and then the other 2 flippy, rolly, tumbly constructs, we took them down really quick because we understood how to get them, out. We found keys on the human, and it unlocked. There was 3 doors in this room. One of the doors had no visible locks that we could find, and then there was a room north and a room south. The room south, we decided to go through that room first, and our changeling made himself look like the human and walked into the room with the key just to see like if there was anyone in there and to get some intel. And there was a dude in there like doing a ritual, and he's like, hey, you're not supposed to be in here. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I thought this was the bathroom. And he's like had to do a deception check. He succeeded on the deception check, and the guy let him leave, so he just walked out, and the guy closed the door behind him and locked it. And then he went into the upper room, another dude doing a ritual in there, but didn't notice him because he did a stealth check before he walked in this time. And then he walked right back out. So essentially, we have these 2 rooms, each of them with like a cultist inside doing a ritual, and we have to decide which one to tackle first. The one in the bottom had a bunch of chests, and I did detect magic, and there was magic like kind of emanating from all over that room. So we decided, hey, let's go for the magic one. Come to find out, the magic in the room was actually something below the ground that the cultist was trying to like summon and concentrate on. And when we like we broke his concentration, it released some kind of slime creature into the room. So things went from like out of the frying pan into the fire. So we're trapped in this room with this cultist, and this weird slime thing is coming out of the floor, and it was being held by like a wall of force. So essentially we just got into a crazy scenario where we're not 100% certain how things will go. Kevin, let me answer your question really quickly. So when you go to export a map that's multi-level now, this one I can't do it on because it's not a multi-level map. It's a single floor legacy. Let me hurry and save this and I'll show you. Okay. I'm going to save it twice, in fact. So when you open a multi-level map, right? Or when you want to export a single level on a multi-level map. Hey, Belladonna. Hey, Uncle Trash Talk. How's everyone doing? Sorry, I'm looking at many different chats right now, trying to make sure I say hi to everyone. What you been up to, Trash Talk? Long time no see. So this is a multi-level bastion I made for our group. Anyway, let's say I wanted to export just the second floor or just the roofing level, right? Kevin, the first thing you do is you go to that level on the map. So open the map and go to that level. So let's say I wanted to export just the roof. I want to be on that level. Then you go to File, Export. And in the export menu, there's all these different options for layers. So you can export only the ground floor if you want, or all layers, right? Or you could do all layers and roofing, or which the one that's most important to you is only current layer. So whatever layer you are on when you open the export menu will be the one you export if you have it set to this mode. I hope that helps you out, Kevin. So let's say I'm on level 2 and I only want to export level 2. Maybe I made some subtle changes to it or adjusted a room and only want to export that one level, right? Just set it to, instead of all layers and roofing, set it to only current layer, which will only export that one. Yep. Okay, where was I with D&D storytelling? I got a little sidetracked and forgot where I was. There's lots of new stuff. Honestly, Chim, there was some discussion if after we get out of these 2 fights with the cultists in this area, we're going to barricade ourselves in one of their rooms with an immovable rod and take a long rest. Let's see. So, found the guys doing the rituals. We're taking on one of the cultists, and I think we just release some kind of slime creature in the grate below, which we're gonna have to fight as well after we take him out. So he's down to like a sliver of health. He'll be done in no time, but the slime creature will be a whole new thing altogether. Gonna be an interesting next session. I think our DM's learning ways to entice us and knows our playstyle more. Because, like, I do detect magic a lot to see if there's any kind of, like, maybe a magical item or loot. And he is doing, like, he's throwing up magical stuff in places as, like, bait for me. I'm starting to feel like, because it's enticing for my character to want to figure out what it is. Oh, we also got a magical item after we defeated the fire-wielding dude. Like unceremoniously, because it was like a really quick kill. He had these bracers of fire on them, and they can add fire damage to like a physical melee weapon. So you can essentially use a bonus action to add fire damage to the weapons and then hit with it. It's interesting, to say the least. The thing is they're not wooden doors. They're like stone doors with traps and like slatted doors that slide and all sorts of stuff, or no visible keyholes. The place is not an easy thing to navigate through. Our paladin wanted that item, but I think our fighter may want it because so a few of the robots we took out, like the ones that were like nimbly bimbly doing jumps and stuff, they had tonfa weapons, and I guess if you pair two of the tonfas, it ups your AC. And their finesse weapons, which are our fighter is a multi-class with rogue, and he likes to get, you know, the what is their sneak attacks, but he's currently not using a finesse weapon because he found a +1 club. But those tonfas, he could use the tonfas and use the bracer to make them fire, and then get a +2 his AC and still use them as a finesse weapon. And when he gets extra attack, that'll stack. I don't know. Sounds pretty cool. If you have two of the tonfas attack equipped, then it gives you an AC bonus. Only if you have both of them. It's like a +1 AC bonus. But the bracers add like a 1d6 fire to your existing attacks. So I kind of want either our paladin or our fighter to have them. Either one works for me. Like, I'm not going to complain. Anyway, the session was quite a success. Had a lot of fun. So far, all we've been killing is constructs, which means there's not a whole lot of loot, right? They're just mostly robots. They don't talk. They don't have any reasoning. Can't intimidate them. So there was only one dude we took out so far, and he had a magic item. And now we're fighting the cultists, which are real people too. So wondering if they have anything. But there was chests in one of the room. Anyway, hopefully we got some loot. Let me find a link for them so you can check them out, actually. I think I have them somewhere. Oops. There it is. Stand by. I'm not seeing them. Maybe I didn't open them. There's the tonfa. I'll have to look for it and send it your way later. I think I can find it, but it's on one of our characters' like sheets. So hold on. Let's see if I can find it really quick. New campaign. Here they are. They're called Gauntlets of Flaming Fury, and they're an item in Baldur's Gate Descent to Avernus. Gauntlets of Flaming Fury is what they're called. Sorry about that. Yep. Glad this is the intersect point because I'm starting to misalign ever so slightly. Really good. Really good. Fantastic. Hmm. Get rid of that one, Ellie. Save. So at the end of the session, we were kind of in a fight, cliffhanger, and that's it. So not much else to tell about. But we will be jumping right back into an encounter next session. And I'm worried the cultist is going to run away and lock us in the room, but he can't get very far, mainly because half our team is outside the room and half of it's inside. He's going to have to go through a bunch of opportunity attacks. So hopefully he dies, and then we can take out the ooze, clear the room of loot, take a break, and then push on. Because right now, unless we get a long rest after this, I'm not going to be very useful in an end fight. I have 2 level 3 spell slots left, 1 level 2, and 1 level 1. That's all I have left now after all these fights, because I was using a lot of spell slots to keep the constructs behind us at bay, keeping the action economy down. It was quite a day, to say the least. Our next session's 2 weeks from now. We're normally a month in between, but we're having a bonus session this month, which makes me so happy. Because, yeah, that's like a rare occasion. So... I highly doubt he'll be throwing a blob of annihilation at us, but I mean, it could be. Who knows? Here's the thing: we're a party of 6 level 6 characters, so it can't be something too crazy, right? Yeah, last month in July, my son and I share a birthday. Well, we each have a birthday in July, right? And so we decided what we wanted for our birthday was more D&D. We told our group that, they agreed more D&D would be awesome, and we actually offered to pay for the bonus session because our sessions are paid through a professional DM, and we didn't want to burden everyone else with paying for an extra session if they, if it was something we wanted extra, not them, Of course, who can say no to extra D&D? That being said, it was kind of my gift to them. Yeah. The thing is our group is kind of getting to the point where they want more D&D. So we were going from like a once a month thing, and I think most of our group wants extra sessions. One of our players just got a promotion and a raise, so he's actually in a position where he can afford more sessions. Honestly, I didn't really get anything myself big this year. I got myself a couple pieces of art, and framed them and hung them down in my living room. And I'm trying to think, like one other thing I wanted. I went on a trip to see my grandfather just before my birthday, and that was kind of my gift to myself this year. Honestly, though, like my family, we usually just do a laid back, chill birthday where I kind of just get to put up my feet all day and not have to stress. The missus does a special, dinner and breakfast, and we just relax. To me, that's really all I care about. I'm not too big on like gifts, you know? Honestly, it was just quite fun to it's awesome to be able to have an extra session, hang out with my friends, play some more D&D. That's pretty much the best, all I could ask for, really. Yeah, like I didn't want to do anything extra where I had to do planning or traveling besides that. But, like I said, I took a trip to see my grandfather for about a couple weeks before my birthday, had some time with him. And then during my birthday, just hung out with the fam and relaxed and, or it was like the month before my birthday I did that. Anyway, like I said, not too huge on like crazy birthdays. I've never had like a surprise party or anything like that. I'm just not big on that stuff. One might say I'm slightly antisocial. Starting to wonder that, are these graves the same size as these? Because I don't think they are. One seems so much longer. Of course I have. I've made a couple of them myself, and I've explored tons of community maps that are multi-floor. Just personally, as of right now, I'm working on this massive cemetery that I've been working on a while, about an hour a week for like 8 months actually, for about an hour a week. But this was made before multi-level launched, so it's a legacy map and doesn't support it. But yeah, multi-level building's quite fun, and it's actually quite straightforward. If you have any questions about it, I can guide you through it or open up another map and we can take a look. I don't understand how I was able to keep these so good up to this point and now it's not. I'm struggling to see what I did different here. It's just getting too tight or something. I guess I could shrink these a little bit. Do you have any questions about it, my friend? I'd be glad to address them if you've got some concerns. There's a lot of insanely good multi-level maps now on the workshop. If you sort by most recent, you can start to see like a lot of multi-level buildings are starting to make their way onto the workshop. Simple taverns, churches, castles, cities. I mean, they're starting to pop up every day. It's quite fun. Oh, that'd be cool, Anani. Sounds like a fun birthday. As you can see here, there's just like a multi-level map. Almost every few maps you could see one. And people are really starting to flourish with the builds. But it's actually pretty easy, Ortega. All you do is you just build a structure, right? And then there's this little UI widget here. There's arrows on it to go up or down. You press up if you want to go up to the next floor. And then when you make a room, it automatically adds a roof on top, but you can just use the room tool and draw another room on top of the room. So essentially, when you want another floor, you add a room on top of the room. And you can continually shape and expand that beyond that if you want. Mage, are you currently running like a campaign at all? So you just make maps completely for the just fun, right? Cathartic experience, I'd imagine. That's pretty cool, actually. Raise of hands. Who makes maps in our community just for fun? Or just to, like, relax? Simply just an art form to unwind. Dyson, I think that's funny because aren't you running, like, how many campaigns right now? You can do both, right? You can make maps for no reason and run 6 campaigns. We were just talking about who might make maps just for fun with no like purpose of putting them in a campaign, or so people who make maps just, you know, cathartically, or, you know, for an art form or just to relax. Honestly, it's crazy to me how many people use Dungeon Alchemist without ever intending to run a campaign, but not in a bad way. Like, I think that's just something the devs never anticipated, you know? Oh, so you like made all of Waterdeep, but they're like, nah, we want to go to Succumber. We heard it's popping there. Oh, hey, a fairy ring. Well, I guess we're never coming back. It really is a lot like Minecraft or Tiny Glade at the end of the day. Really, it is. I think, you know, it'd be fun if we added like music similarly to Minecraft and maybe achievements. It's not just about map making. Oh, that could be cool. Eve of Ruin maps. Like, I think some chiptune music, you know, in the background would be nice. Or like, kind of like what I have playing on the stream right now. Honestly, I respect that, Blue Mage. I respect it. You're just really just building something to build it. Create with your own two hands, and to have the reward of making something yourself. Always nice. Very rewarding when you finish a project you started with your own two hands, right? I'm starting to feel like I'm in a very small cross section of millennials that like enjoy using tools but also love electronics. I find they usually fall into one camp or the other. Like typically they either really enjoy, are like really good with electronics or really good with tools. Not much in between in the millennial camps. It's funny, I don't consider electric tools electronics. An electrical tool is, I don't know. It's just a tool with power. It's just a tool, go faster, more powerful. Nice, Anani. I really love that I try to like make a vibe here where it's like welcoming and fun and people can share their experiences and help each other out. I really hope that's the vibe you get when you come into the stream the first time. Like warm and inviting, and it's like you're sitting at your home under a quilt reading a book during a rainstorm. Is how I kind of hope it feels. I think a lot of people like the damnation just because it's a play on words, right? It sounds like damnation. It's damn and nation, so like a big group of people, but also it's a one word, damnation. The damn fam, though, just is more like of a vibe, if I have to say, between the two. Blue Mage, I love your maps. I think you're doing a great job, but I do understand like where you come from, where you say like, it's kind of hard to find inspiration sometimes, right? Or like how to approach the next set of a map. And I think that's something that's just kind of learned with experience and time. Over time, you'll get more experience under your belt and be able to just like, oh, this makes sense here, or this is what I should do here, or I've seen this done before, maybe I'll try it. Actually, I think it would be played on kazoos and recorders. So it'd be kind of like that the song from Titanic, but then Star Wars. I just noticed, by the way, we're 10 past the hour. So we do need to wrap it up. I'm gonna save, right? And we'll jump back into this next session. This is really coming along, though. Straightened up all the fence along this area, at least on these sides and this side. Added a ton of new graves. Honestly, I think within the next 2 streams, this will be filled out, this whole section. Then we got to go back to these, which I'm going to slowly start dispersing them from like these graves into more of these. So it'll be like some of this style mixed in and then slowly go more into it to kind of show a diversity in age or area. One's nationalism, one's family. If there's a kitchen, that's where you'll end up. You can always catch me snacking. Hey, I appreciate y'all being here. Thank you so much for tuning in to Mapmaker Monday, which I will admit is my favorite stream of the week. It's always nice to hang out with y'all and get the week started off right with some amazing map making, getting questions answered and support inquiries dealt with, and making sure everyone's, making sure everyone understands DA to its fullest and get the most out of it, but also has a fun place to hang out in between, your campaigns and whatnot, your session prep. Thank you everyone for being here. Again, my name is Mac, the community manager of Dungeon Alchemist. Dungeon Alchemist is a map-making tool and immersion utility available on Steam. We offer a free demo where you can try before you buy. You can download the demo, see how Dungeon Alchemist runs on your system, a bit of a test drive, so to speak. Aside from that, I just want to say thank you for being here. And our next stream will be on Wednesday. It is not a multi-stream like today. It is a Discord exclusive stream, which is only on our Discord. So if you're not a member of our Discord, I highly recommend you join. Great location, filled with amazing people. Another great third space to be. You can get support on Dungeon Alchemist pretty much any hour of the day. You can chat with myself and other dev team members on occasion. You can share feedback or suggestions. You can chat with other like-minded map makers and GMs. Just a great place to hang out. But every Wednesday we offer what's called office hours, which is just a stream in our Discord. I liken it to thinking like we had a corporate headquarters where you could come in and get a tour, meet the staff, hang out, whatever, see what the latest and greatest is that we're working on. So liken it to that, but instead it's all online because we're 100% remote and don't have a corporate headquarters because we're a tiny indie company. So I hope you all can tune in on Wednesday for that stream. That's at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and 5 p.m. UTC. Our following stream after that would be on Saturday. That's the Dam stream. It's basically during the stream, we showcase and highlight various maps and assets found on the Steam Workshop. Pull them up, look at what they did, figure out how they did it, shout them out, and offer live AMA support. In fact, every stream we run, you can drop in and ask questions, and I will usually drop what I'm doing and provide you real-time support. So if you ever need any assistance, the streams are a great place to tune in and get guidance, but if you need assistance off stream, the Discord or our social media is a great alternative. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. I'm going to run a quick Dungeon Alchemist themed ad, and we're going to wrap up the stream. We'll see you all later. Back out.
You stand before the long, dark road to the fabled realm of Goyak Ta, and before...
What do we see?
I don't know, a goblin.
I kill him.
But before she does, I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to know the goblin's name.
Hi, my name is Woblin.
Where do you live there, Woblin?
I don't think that's relevant.
Well, but I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to seek the goblin's abode.
Clever. Find family. Kill entire bloodline. I like it.
Seriously, we're doing this? Okay, well, won't be needing that anymore, will I?
Ever get caught by your players with your pants down? Dungeon Alchemist lets you create wonderful maps for any encounter in seconds.
Oh, Woblin, that's a very impressive cheese collection you've got there.
Yeah, it is quite impressive, yes. But you know what's more impressive? This map I have to the
Fabled realm of Goyak Ta. Please take it and leave. Close the door behind you.
Mr. Woblin, I cannot help but notice that you have a secret tunnel underneath your cabinet. care to explain.
Download Dungeon Alchemist, the AI-powered map maker, on Steam today.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. See you next time I give a damn. Mech out. Bye.